30-minute yoga practice. I am standing on a yoga mat. If you don't happen to have one, don't worry about it. I'm also standing on my living room rug, and that's a great substitute for a yoga mat for today. Maybe you've got a carpeted area in your house that would serve as your yoga mat for today. I have 2 yoga blocks. A really great substitute for that would be 2 thick books. And I've got a folded blanket. It is literally the throw blanket from my couch. You could do the same, or you might have a beach towel or thick bath towel that you can fold. We'll get started in our foundational pose, facing the short edge of our mat. Now, if you don't have a mat, just imagine the short edge of your mat, with our palms facing away from each other, and uplift to our heart, a little soft bend in our knees, chin parallel to the ground. And we stop here so that we can start. We start to find our breath. We've been breathing all the while, but it's one of the functions of our bodies that happens automatically and can be influenced by our awareness. So let's bring that awareness to every inhale and to every exhale. If you're able to manage both the inhale and the exhale through your nose, that's ideal, but if that's not happening today, breathe any way that you can and bring the awareness. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips. And for the first one, take your hands to your thighs. It gives us something to traction as we inhale and uplift our heart, lengthening our spine. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V shape, and then we pause with our palms facing out. Inhale, a V shape, arms to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs or maybe your shins or your ankles. But we fold, keeping length in our spine. In fact, we slide our hands back up to uplift our heart and inhale. And then we'll exhale and hinge a little bit deeper, keep the length in our spine as we fold, and then rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, inhaling a V shape overhead. And we pause with our palms facing out. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or your shins or your ankles. Inhale, glide your hands up. Exhale, hinge, lengthen, fold. Then rise, reach. Inhale, arms to the sky, a V shape, and we pause with our palms facing out. Adding on. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs or shins or ankles. Lift your heart as we inhale, and now bend your knees as deeply as you need to bring your palms flat on the ground. Step back to our first down dog. You want to push the ground away with your arms and your hands so we're not collapsed, we don't have bent elbows. There's an uplift like a hook in your tailbone of your hips to the sky. We're on the balls of our feet, we've got a little bend in our knees, and as we push the ground away, it feels pretty great to feel the length in our spine, our side body, our front body. You might begin to straighten your legs a little bit. If that's rounding your back, I would skip that part. Keep pushing the ground away even more proactively, and then we walk forward, feet to our hands, hip distance. Slide your hands up, inhale, fold back in, exhale. Rise, reach, inhale, thumbs to the sky, V shape, and then arms along your sides, palms face out. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs or your shins or your ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart, palms flat. We step it with the hook in our tailbone and pushing the ground away into our down dog. And now we will shift shoulders over our wrists into a plank and let the hook in our tailbone take us back to down dog. You're pushing the ground away the whole time. So as we shift forward into plank, keep pushing, pushing, pushing the ground away from you, and then let your hook in your tailbone take you back to down dog. We'll do that one more time. Shifting to plank, shoulders over wrists, and then down dog, our hips lift up and back. Walk your feet forward to your hands, hip distance and parallel. Slide your hands up, uplift your heart, inhale, fold in, exhale. Rise, reach, inhale, thumbs to the sky, V-shape, then pause, palms facing out. Inhale, V-shape. Exhale, hinge and hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Glide your hands up, inhale, palms flat. Step back to down dog, find that hook in your tailbone. Shift shoulders over wrists, and then this time in our plank position, bring your knees to your mat. Let's position our shoulders over our wrists really carefully with our knees down and our toes curled under, and push the ground away. What we don't want is this, so you can experiment with it. We're not collapsing into our shoulders. You keep that push of the ground away. Shift a little bit forward. Draw your belly towards your spine. In one piece, come all the way down onto your belly. Uncurl your toes. Bring your forearms parallel to the long edges of your mat. And then traction your elbows towards you. Draw your chest through the gateway of your arms. Chin parallel to the ground. A couple of moments here. Press into the tops of your feet until your kneecaps come off your mat so your legs feel active and alive. Lower down, place your hands next to your ribs, curl your toes under. In one piece, we come to all fours. And then from all fours, the hook in our tailbone takes our hips up and back. We push the ground away in our down dog. And then we walk forward, feet hip distance. Slide your hands to your ankles, shins or thighs as you inhale, uplift your heart, and exhale, hinge at your hips, folding in. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V. We pause with our palms facing out. Inhale, V-shape. We flow that all together. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up, uplift your heart, palms flat. We walk to our down dog. From down dog, shift forward, shoulders over wrists, and then knees down, and in one piece, we lower all the way onto our bellies. Uncurl your toes. You can go to Sphinx pose or keep your hands where they are. Draw your chest, not chin, but chest through the gateway of your arms. Lower down, curl your toes under in one piece. We come through all fours, and then we make our way to down dog with our hips up and back, pushing the ground away actively. Walk forward to your hands, feet hip distance, parallel. Inhale, slide your hands up, lift your heart. Exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, and then palms face out as we stand in our mountain. We'll add a few friends to our sun salutation flow. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale. Bend your knees, palms flat. Step it to your down dog, and this time in down dog, lift your right leg behind you. Step that right foot forward. You might need to help it along. Grab your two blocks or books and frame your right foot with your blocks or books. Heel toe that right foot over to the right a little bit. Keep a nice deep bend in your front knee and maybe add some bend to your back knee. Come upright, V-shape, thumbs to the sky in a crescent lunge. Return your hands to your blocks. Then move those blocks out of your way so you can get your hands flat for down dog. From downward facing dog, your left leg lifts behind you. Step your left foot forward. Feel free to help it along. Trot your blocks to frame your left foot. Bend your left knee. Maybe heel toe that left foot a little bit to the left. And we may benefit from some bend in our back knee, so it's a bit easier to come upright and position our torso as if we were doing our mountain pose. Then hands come to our blocks, ultimately hands to our mat. Palms flat, hips up and back for down dog. You might stay in down dog or even bring your knees to your mat for a child's pose. If you are game, shift it to plank, shoulders over wrists. Bring your knees down, firm your belly, and come all the way down onto your belly. Uncurl your toes, cobra pose, maybe Sphinx pose. Lower down, curl your toes under through all fours. The hook in our tailbone brings us to down dog. From down dog, walk forward, feet come to your hands, they're parallel in hip distance. Inhale, glide your hands up, lift your heart. Exhale, hinge and fold. Rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, and then we stand with our palms facing out, and we stand in our mountain. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up, palms flat, step back to downward facing dog. Lift your right leg back behind you. Step that right foot forward, help it along in any way. Trot your 2 blocks once again to frame that right foot. This time as we walk and heel toe our right foot to the right, we'll turn our left foot, back foot flat. Straighten our front leg, hinge at that right hip, lengthen through our spine, and enjoy a stretch here in our pyramid pose. The goal, if there is one, is to create space. So think of that as you hinge at your hip. Feel the space that you're stretching into in the back of your right leg. Keep the hinge as a little bit of inspiration to lengthen your spine. And lastly, let's create space in between our inhales and our exhales, and in between the thoughts in our head. So I'm going to give us 30 seconds of silence to create some space in. Let's bend our front knee, spin on our back toes, move our blocks off to the side, and step to down dog. Once we're in down dog, we will lift our left leg behind us, step that left foot forward, help it along if it needs it, bring your 2 blocks to frame that left foot, turn your right foot, back foot flat, and begin to move that left leg towards straight. May not straighten out entirely. Heel toeing that left foot over to the left gives us the benefit of sideways space too. And then remember, it's space that we're creating on the back of our left foot, our left leg, space from the hinge at our hips in our spine, and then lastly, and maybe most important, space between the thoughts in our head. So I will give us that same swath of silence to stretch into some stillness. Way out of this, spin on your back toes and bend your front knee. Move your blocks off to the side so we can find our down dog. And again, I give you the choice. You can stay here, you could take a child's pose. Perhaps you shift shoulders over wrists in our plank. Keep pushing the ground away as you bring your knees down. Slow motion, gently, all the way to our bellies. Then we uncurl our toes and come into cobra pose or sphinx pose. We'll lower down, curl our toes under, come through all fours, and then the hook in our tailbone takes our hips to the sky in our down dog. Walk forward, feet to your hands, they're hip distance and parallel. Slide your hands up, lift your heart, inhale, hinge as we exhale, and then rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, inhaling, and we pause, palms face out in our mountain pose. Now moving through a few other friends in this same kind of idea of sun salutation, salutation fun. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, lift your heart. Palms flat, step back to down dog. Lift your right leg behind you. Step that right foot forward, help it along, crescent pose. This time in crescent, back foot flat, walk this right foot over to the left a little bit. Make sure that you've got a vertical line from your right knee to your right ankle. Our bodies will open out to the left. Our back foot, left foot is at a 45-degree angle. Warrior two, we pause and breathe. A little bit of stillness into a new shape. 3 moments. And I highly recommend right forearm across right thigh, left arm up to the sky. We don't want to crumble right shoulder into right ear. If you'd like, you can take your tall block. If that's creating rounding and collapsing, forearm across your thigh is perfect. We stay a few moments here in what's called side angle pose for a moment. Then we'll come up to warrior two and spin on those back toes for our crescent pose. Move your block off to the side, palms flat. Step yourself into down dog. Lift your left leg behind you. Step that left foot forward, help it along if it needs it. Crescent pose. And then we drop our back heel and heel toe our left foot over to the right, opening our bodies out to the right side. A vertical line from our left knee to our left ankle, a 45-degree slide of our heel back in our right foot, our back foot, and a pause in this shape. Left forearm across left thigh is a great way to go. It's a nice place to find space. And we're not collapsed. Left shoulder into left ear. If you would like, bring your block and place it on the outside of your left foot now, and we create what's called side angle pose. Let's take a few silent moments here in this shape. We bring ourselves up into warrior two, and then we will spin ourselves forward, spinning on our back toes into that crescent pose. Hands to your mat, step it back to your down dog. Option to stay in down dog or shift shoulders over wrists. Keep pushing the ground away as your knees come down and lower to your belly. Uncurl your toes and come into cobra pose or sphinx. Lower down, curl your toes under. We go through all fours and come into down dog. From down dog, walk your feet to your hands. Glide your hands up as we inhale and lift our hearts. Exhale, hinge, folding in. Inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, and then we stand and pause, palms facing out. We'll add one more friend to our flow. Here we go. Inhale, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Glide your hands up, inhale, palms flat as we step to down dog. From down dog, we lift our right leg and step into crescent pose. From crescent pose, back heel flat, walk your right foot over to the left, warrior two. Then we take either right forearm across our thigh and left arm up to the sky, or we take our hand on our block. We will come up to warrior two, and this time straighten your right leg. Now it's not a side bend. We want to hinge at our right hip and reach way out with our right hand for our block, or maybe your shin or ankle. If you're using your leg, I want you to not be too heavy-handed. I don't want you to be forcing your leg to straight or hyperextension. Spin your inner upper arms away from each other. Feel some spaciousness here. 3 moments together as we are. We'll exit differently. So bend your front knee and spin on your back toes. Take your hands to your mat and step it straight to down dog. Once we're in down dog, lift your left leg back behind you. Step that forward into crescent pose. From our crescent pose, we drop our back heel, heel toe, walking our left leg over to the right, opening out. Then left forearm across thigh, or left hand onto your block on the outside of that left foot. Side angle for a moment. Then we come back up to warrior two and straighten our left leg. Not a side bend, a hinge. We reach way out with our left hand. And then we find likely our block or book, maybe your ankle or shin. You're careful not to slam that front leg straight. And then let's soak in our stretch, our triangle pose stretch for a few moments together. Bend your front knee and spin on your back toes. We'll step right into downward facing dog pose. And you might decide to stay here, or one more time, shift shoulders over wrists. Bring your knees to your mat. Lower to your belly. Stay here on your belly. My friends who skipped that part, you can slide your way out onto your belly and meet us here. And then we will interlace our hands behind our back. Drag our knuckles back behind us so we feel a smile to our collarbones. Press into the tops of our feet until our kneecaps lift. Go forward and up with your chest. You might lengthen your right leg behind you and off the ground. You might even lengthen your left leg back behind you and off the ground. If it's too much in your lower back, you will decide not to do what we're doing, not to lift your legs. Press your feet back down again. Release your hands next to your ribs. Then curl your toes under. Come through all fours. Once you're on all fours, step your right foot forward. Stack your two blocks inside of your right foot. Forearms on your blocks, humble warrior stretch. We pause. Three moments together here. For a moment, it becomes a hamstring stretch. Straightening our right leg and framing our straight right leg. We'll curl our right toes back towards us and really get that hip hinge we've spoken of in action here. You can move your blocks forward a little bit. You can scoot your right heel forward so it's almost like you're headed towards a vertical split. But let's keep the integrity of the space we were speaking of. And let's find the space now in a swath of silence. A full minute starting now. Now we'll start to bend our right knee and sit on one of our blocks or maybe on your folded blanket as if we were sitting side straddle. This is a tricky pose, single pigeon. You're also welcome to lie down on your back, cross right ankle on top of left knee and thread the needle in a reclining pigeon if you prefer it. If you're interested in kind of figuring out single pigeon, you can bend that right knee as deeply as you need to, curl your left toes under, and spin that left thigh to face the ground as much as your body is willing to do that. I like to take a block out in front of me and then keep a little bit of that length in my spine. steer my hips a little bit forward. Any sharp pain is to be negated and avoided. So if it's too much on your right knee or too much in your low back, either stay with that super side saddle or skip this part and do your reclining pigeon. 3 moments here. We lean to our right, come off of our perch, stack our 2 blocks and step our left foot forward so that we can do our humble warrior on our second side. Come onto your forearms on your blocks. We'll get silent for a few moments here. Come up onto your hands, straighten your left leg, let it become that half split. That could even be a sneak of your left heel forward and a little bit more like you're headed towards a vertical split. We stay for a few moments here. And then we bend our left knee and make our way onto our side saddle positioning that could turn a little bit more forward. Remember, you get to bend your left knee as much as you need to, curl your back toes under, see if you can convince that back thigh to face the ground a little bit, and then we'll stay here for this stretch for a few moments. Then we'll lean to our left to come off of our block. You can sit on your folded blanket. I'm going to end today with a seated meditation. If you prefer a lie down Shavasana, final meditation, by all means, lie down and enjoy. If you're seated, we'll have our palms up or down. You can close your eyes. If that's uncomfortable, just divert your gaze. Same for those lying down. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. If not, soften your gaze and let's rest and digest. You're welcome to stay in your Shavasana or your seated meditation for as long as you would like. If you're ready and you're lying down, gather your knees into your chest, roll to your side, come up and join us here in our cross-legged or comfortable seat of any kind. We pause for a little gratitude, thankful that we can do this practice together. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I look forward to